Well, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, I'm Balloon Phoenix, and today we're gonna start the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. And this is gonna be the final Ace Attorney game to be streamed until we get a new one. And now we got 5 new cases. Episode 1, The Adventures of the Blossoming Attorney. Episode 2, The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Episode 3, The Return of the Great Departed Soul. Episode 4, Twisted Karma and His Last Bow. And the final chapter, The Resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. But we will begin with Episode 1, The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. Let's begin.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean, those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital. You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court. Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home. So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. as a lawyer. So please, I ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
Yeah, we're gonna play a Susato in this one. Here I am again after 9 months. Supreme Court of Judicial Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find my way to compose myself. Oh, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, good morning, sir. I hardly recognize you. Got a fine figure, Counsel. But you look as white as a sheet, and those white eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous. I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Yuji Mikotomba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. The man who earlier in his life traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances of forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Excuse me. Would I be correct in thinking that you'll be in my lawyer court today? Oh, yes. Yes, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, this whole thing. Rei Bambami, born the same year as I and my great friend. Oh my god, her name is Remember Me. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial, accused of committing a truly awful murder. Are you feeling alright? As we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, it's just that... You look so elegant and dashing. Sorry? When I fell under your intense glaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh? What do you mean, Professor Mikotoba? If even your best friend can't see through your disguise, I think we could relax. Disguise? Yes, I never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. But it just makes me feel a little relief, as you say, Father. Father? What? Is that you, Susato? I'm so sorry I didn't say anything sooner, Rei. It's just that— No! What are you doing? What's going on? What? That variety uniform, that variety cap, that variety cape, that variety badge. Look at you. You look for all the world like a student at the Imperial Yume University. A male student. I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see... It was the only way. The only way she would permit it into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial. Your defense? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at being born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom, despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self in the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you go at such lengths for me? Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. Ray. It's so strange though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And it's just because you're a woman. What a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't I be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Ray? Please don't look at me like that with those flush eyes, cheeks, and doting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just... You really do look so dashing. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice.
You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man.
I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Ray, you managed to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I notice how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Susato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolute no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be by your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. That means so much to me, Susato.
Defendant! Counsel! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty.
Oh! Stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen us run so fast.
Well, Susato, you certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom, and with no prior experience of being a lawyer.
There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. Father, you haven't told her, have you? I'm ready to assume that Ray doesn't know how it came to this?
Yes, quite right. I kept that information from her. It would only worry her if I found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. I didn't want to burden her with that.
And is it true the reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because who the victim was?
We should be making a move now too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student.
Thank you, Father. I'm Susako Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhiro-san.
This court is now session to hear the trial Ray Rumbamy.
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency.
Defense counsel, are you ready?
Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready.
Ready!
Oh yes, counsel. According to your recitation details, your name is, Ryutaro Naruhodo, is that correct?
Sorry?
Oh yes, I have to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture. So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first thing that sprung to mind. Well, counsel?
Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I am Ryotaro. He who will vow to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan.
Oh, it seems Ryotaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly character than not overdo it. And those wild eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen.
Naruhodo? A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. By the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be?
You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain and as part of the study program. This is,
His cousin!
That's right. Ryotaro here has been studying in the province and was called to the capital for this trial. I assume you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers.
Any of them? Tut. What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected in every lawyer in the capital, the accused has had to call in the country boy. How dare you! Susato's a very bit of glaring and dashing as any of you Tokyo attorneys. I won't have you making fun of her. Her? Oh, Please be careful, Ray. What an unfresh tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer enough to the challenge of defending you? His wise, skillish eyes may very much suggest that he is not. Oh, I'm so nervous. When I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flit.
The case to be heard on this day on the matter of the great significance of our national interest. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire.
Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet for proceedings for such importance, we have this. A no yokai by the dock. Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment to remain in such defense. To determine whether you are significant if competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when the certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now. The same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even out of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For the trained and expert judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, counsel, do you consent of answering some simple questions?
Alright, it's time to prove myself. Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple.
Very well. To start with, you will state the name of the victim.
Whew, that's simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried.
What's the matter?
Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are wont to blank.
It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position, and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you to bound to flicker or falter a little under the circumstances.
Oh dear, this is a dismal failure.
Don't fret. You need only use your knowledge you gain as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem.
Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst the key information about the case in the court record.
That's right. Just use R1 to open the court record. Then you need to flip to the people section with R1. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely.
Alright, check the court record with R1. This is where the information will be.
I'm waiting, counsel. What is the name of the victim in this case?
Giselle Brett. Actually, but there's a trophy by doing this. The victim in this case is, yes, Prosecutor Tatsuki Achi.
What?
Wait a second, Doctor. Yes, are you trying to kill me? He seems angry.
And you're surprised? Did you consult the court record? You must be looking through it carefully.
Oh yes, I did, of course. I looked at everyone on the file. And I chose the person whose features appear to be most deadly.
I must say, this most unusual methodology of yours leaves me almost speechless. It occurs to me that written uncertainty that reading the information carefully is vitally important. I strongly recommend it.
Oh dear, I simply can't ignore that imposing look. Your Excellency, please don't let me go amend my answer.
Very well. I shall excuse this incorrect response given the wide-eyed state of panic.
Alright. The victim in this case is none other than Professor Yuji Mikotoba.
What? Well, to be written off by one's own child.
Father, you seem suddenly so much older and weavier than you were mere moments ago.
Because of you, clearly. The judge is asking for the victim's name, the person who was killed in this case. Look through the information of the court record again, carefully, before you kill me for mercy's sake.
Oh dear, I simply can't ignore the disappointing look. Father frustrated. Yep, having named Tatsuki Achi and Yuji Mikotoba as the victim. Okay, now it's time to get serious now. Alright, thank you, Zane. Appreciate it.
Yes!
The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett.
A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of the country, I'm sure. Correct. And being the member of our Empire Judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why then was her name indelibly associated with our own Empire's judicial history?
Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. But it was proving hard to recall the finer points. Everything you need is included in the court record. Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett. Behind the woman's student persona was the face of... Queen Victoria. Killer.
Yes!
9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yuppie University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett.
Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain, and it was amidst of that delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He's been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here in Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of the Englishman in our soil was the matter our government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. A student of the Imperial University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryonosuke Natahoto. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense and exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she will be removed to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiation personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally decided upon only last week. All that remained was our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board the steamship. And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed. Only the day before? That will do. I'm satisfied with the counsel of the defense and significantly capable of representing the defendant.
Oh! Thank you, Your Excellency! Over the first hurdle.
Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Ochi.
At is your wish, Excellency. The report likely took place on the 11th August on broad daylight. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under the bright blue sky at the secluded bathing area by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erected by bathers to rest and change their clothes. A cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen and pierced to the victim's lung, the injury which proved fatal. There were two persons alone together at the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Rabambami. Accordingly, there can be no doubt the accused's guilt, especially when she considers she has a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady.
Well, that extraordinary description of events leave me somewhat lost for words, I must say.
That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raised an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up a prosecution's counsel on what he said about. Let's talk about the powerful motive. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Tut tut tut. It's the yokai boy using long words he doesn't fully understand. I beg your pardon? No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Memampi-san, you are a researcher at Imperial Ube University, I believe? Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikoto in his laboratory at the moment.
I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting in? Oh, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson.
Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago?
The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man. Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you have towards the English woman who killed him. Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done, a powerful hatred. No, Ray, be careful what you're saying. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency.
Well, that was clearly a trap all along.
How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect to her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details and something we can use to bolster our defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution's counsel on what he said about being alone together. Memampi-san? Yes, what is it? Naruhodo-san? I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias Ryutaro Suzato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place, and why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There was other people present. The detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. Now let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there's only one reason why this young lady accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life. No! Because, as we know, the following day we'll see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities to Shanghai. Any accused would never have the opportunity to dispatch her again. Kindly refrain from conjecture, Counsel.
The Prosecution Council seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him go to you.
Oh dear, this is really terrifying. But Father's right. We need more information. As a lawyer, we really have to pick up the Prosecution Counsel what he said about bathing spot. If I may, Prosecutor Aochi?
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokai student?
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot?
My apologies, clearly my monster has confused my poor country bumpkin simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend of health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water in the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins. No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Bread had all intents and purposes have been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal be relaxing by the sea? That's a good question. We're all dying sick, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Bread was to depart from Shanghai the following day.
Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day of our country's wonderful coast.
And with the British Embassy put extreme pleasure in our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request?
Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up for foreign powers. In a matter of diplomacy, it seems we don't have even the courage to decline the whims of the known criminal.
So don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that the dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong.
But in fact, a murder took place.
I said don't look at me. It was the young student girl who did it, not I.
No one has proved that yet.
I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago,
Miss Bread managed to avoid incarceration and instead continue her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murderer as a mentor for whom she has such great respect, enjoying such undeserved liberty.
yes, even if it was temporary only until Miss Brett's extraction into Shanghai, you can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment.
Poor Ray.
So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind to pursue this exhibit.
A photograph of print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident.
Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image.
As you can clearly see, there's no one within the hut that anyone else could have hidden.
The court will accept this photograph of print as evidence. As I understand it then, the victim and defendant were alone at the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. A finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accuser's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence.
Witnesses? But who?
One of whom you might add is a highly respected police detective. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Ugh.
Very well done, Counsel. Bring forward your witnesses.
I, Tatsuki Aochi, has been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Oh yes, I haven't forgotten that trial 9 months ago, here at this very courthouse, where that irritable little student boy utterly humiliated me. Ryunosuke Naruhodo?
What? Yes?
This insult to the Aochi family name will never be forgotten.
You become in consent with Age Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. In the way of the world, may you never forget that.
Strike the head of the samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The start of your own Meiji revolution? Are you modernizing as well, Council?
Silence! I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle on top of my head. Observe the arched growth. You see, this is the seed of whole sprouting forth for the baronage spends on my crown.
I think that tiny girl is trying to tell me something.
I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is this hope exactly? I said silence! Today, I face another yokai student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be fertilizer than the seed of hope on top of my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand.
It looks like the stakes are high on both sides on this trial. The prosecution and defense each have much to lose.
A haircut is hardly incomparable to Ray's life.
Witnesses, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Chief Inspector Satoru Hosanaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously. I can't go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. The author renowned throughout the capital, in fact. Yes. Soon to be sold out. The eventual I am the cat, as I simply says, by no Soseki Natsume.
Oh my goodness!
Struggling student from the Proverbs, please. You need to be in awe with me.
I need it?
It's only natural that you feel nervous for my presence, but all of you, please relax. Call me Soseki, even.
Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san in here?
Patch carefully, Susato. The author fella knows you by the time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you of who you really are, this will be over before it began.
Yes, of course. I know. I presume Soseki-san will have forgotten about me. You can certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to be changed somewhat in the 6 months or so it has been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, the amazing outfit is hard to believe.
Do I have something on my face?
Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either.
Oh, I suppose it is disguise, is it? I thought that appealing here with the clothes I was wearing at the time would make it more faithful testimony. It is my godly principle to guide up all testimonies flawlessly. Well, I can appreciate that why the Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But on what business of the writer such as yourself have being on the scene, Soseki-san? Oh, well, you see, I have been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less.
At Yume University?
After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with the researcher from their medical science department. The professor over there, in fact.
With Professor Mikotoba?
Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of my newspapers. They wanted some story or another about 2 former students who studied at Great Britain. Of course, being the renowned author, the press never leaves me alone. They secretly spy, snap shots, scribble stories, and suffer my privacy. As you can see, the conversation is written up in this newspaper here. Read it in your lecture, my problem-struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies.
Thank you very much. You practically threw that paper at me.
Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those are her words.
As I explained before, Miss Brett has never taken into custody. She continues to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course.
what a nonsense. The university immediately contacted Obermann to seek guidance, and the response was, permit Miss Beck to go as long as the detective accompanies her.
The detective I am at liberty to deluge was me, Chief Inspector Sotaro Sosanaka.
Thereby, the entire party departed cordially at the seaside, it seemed.
It was extremely challenging to clear all the other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I am the peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out the duty flawlessly.
Oh my, Inspector, well, you do have something on your face now.
Oh, how unlikely. I do apologize.
Does that mean that you went through the beach too, Father?
No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being the renowned author, I didn't like to decline my invitation. But only I would have seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by result and regret. Very well. I must ask you now to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all you have witnessed by your impromptu excursion into the court.
Of course, Your Excellency.
Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am.
On the day of the incident, I was ordered by a special surveillance assignment in disguise.
I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard the charter whale from behind me.
I ran to the beach hut at once, where I found the pair of question.
Yes, the young girl was astride of the English woman, dagger in hand when she stabbed violently.
I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she stabbed the victim multiple times.
Indeed, it does appear that the testimony of both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime.
What? Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, that was it. Damning evidence.
What have you out there, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it?
Correct, Your Excellency. I found out the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched the piece of evidence that would possibly identify her killer.
What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Oh, goodness me. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand.
That's right, the fountain pen. And as you would like to examine the pen, Your Excellency.
Oh, the owner's initials have been engraved into this inoperable barrel. R.M. Ray Bumbamy. The initials of the defendant.
Ah! No!
The fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence.
So have I omitted everything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courtroom today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel.
I don't understand. The prosecutor Archie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise.
Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san!
Naruhodo. That means...
Oh, yes, me!
Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom.
Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please.
Alright, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witness testimonies to prove that they're aligned somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer should handle this cross-examination. let's see what I can do.
Objection!
Was that a cursory cry that just welled up from deep inside me? I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-sama stand here in this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed.
What's the meaning of that menacing pose, Mansell? I'd like the witness to clarify something for me.
Who? What? Where? When? How?
Not you, Soseki-san. The inquiry is directed to Inspector Hosonaga.
And me?
In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times.
Yes, quite right.
As I said, when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be.
What? Get to the point, please, counsel.
In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only.
Oh!
In other words, Inspector Hosonaga's testimony is clearly flawed.
No!
And Soseki-san,
Me?
you claim to have seen Bambi's-san in the thorns of stabbing the victim.
Yes I did. Wildly!
But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding.
Yes.
And it's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there is no way that it could have been blood on the knife if a single stabbing had already occurred.
Oh, true! Then what exactly is your contention, counsel? Are you ever going to tell us?
Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What Soseki saw, in fact, was not the moment that the victim stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant, in fact, withdrew the blade from the victim's body.
That can't be!
Excellent work, Susato. You exploded with the objection and then proceed to pull them apart systematically.
Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this at the trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the shell.
You're right. There are certain similarities. Except the so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who has only half a head of hair.
Slander! My head is completely adequately dressed! In any case, all this talk of stabbing or withdrawing a multiple wound, it makes not a jot of difference.
What? Why not?
Engage your brain, young man.
When the accused first plunged a deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as he had withdrawn the blade ready to her next shot as the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim.
All you have successfully shown is, with your little display, is that the mustache author is prone to moments of extra vague.
Nah!
I'm in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding a blade at all, then the significant grounds of her actions are to be viewed with suspicion.
But she was withdrawing the blade.
And we are back to where we started.
Sorry?
Consider this, young yokai boy. If the student girl was innocent as you claim,
Then why would she have pulled the blade from her victim? And with a demon's cold-cutted composure, too.
the prosecution demands an explanation, and it better be good.
Why did Ray pull out the knife?
Oh, yes. Going for the jugular.
What does Father mean by that?
Let the court hear your answer then, counsel.
The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely that she could... According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. That's correct. It's thought she would remain conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury. Indeed, giving her time to hold this piece of evidence that was clearly indicates her killer. The point is, being a medical research assistant, Mambi's son was compelled to act on facing the wounded victim. Instantly, she pulled the victim out in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem that there's a best way to respect this young yokai.
Indeed.
Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Your Excellency, if I may.
Speak, witness.
I would like to have an opportunity to testify. In respect to the slip-slot assertion that just put forward by the Yokai Defense Council, I mean. Slip-slot? An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokai hopeful is a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to pose not an ounce of common sense.
Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion.
Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. Pulling the blade from the wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. The basic knowledge of any medical research assistant with the ounce of sense gotta know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Is that what you said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from the wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily? Yes. Think of a weapon itself as a stopper of the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until the doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, the stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. This is why yokai should stay on the farm. Even the quackers from a scary mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pull it again knows it. Oh, well, I never stabbed anyone, you see, nor pulled the blade out of a wound, so...
Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit.
Father, is it true what they're telling me?
Yes. It's basic removal knowledge for medics. May would have been very well of it. If he were to claim innocence as his fundamentals, it would prove fatal in many ways.
But then why would Ray have done it? Would she have pulled out that knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett?
I don't know.
Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but... Could my friend actually have...
Zato!
Yes?
Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here.
Ah.
Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving to my adjusting immediately afterwards.
I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard.
This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack of testimony anywhere. If Ray knew how to withdraw the knife with the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it.
Susato, at all times like this, when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals.
Fundamentals?
Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it?
Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already.
I think perhaps you've forgotten something, though. You need to take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too.
Huh.
I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom. You need reminding the rudiments if you need only mass. I'll do my very best to help.
Examine the evidence in the court record? Is an idea, certainly. What should I do? I know what to do. Come to think of it, Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-sama are always turning evidence over and over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with X.
Oh, by the looks of your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look of everything. You may just find a clue.
Yes, I'll do so straight away. This is the newspaper Roseki-san. There's usually an important article in the back page as well. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yumei Medical Research Laboratory. Oh, Yumei's medical research? Father, isn't this your lab?
What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen?
Is this morning's paper that Saseki-san gave us? Are you saying you didn't know?
As embarrassing as it is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth would that reporter have gleaned his information?
Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this in our paper this morning, was there?
It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on in strict confidence. I put Ray in charge of the project.
Ray? She was managing it?
If what's written here is true, it means she tried to hide that theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow.
I don't believe it.
We need to read this article very carefully.
Objection!
No, there's one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's womb. What?
Ha! The yokai not only have the poor grasp of the law, but also the poor loser. Tell us then, what possibility do you think you'd identified?
It's here, in his newspaper article. The article about the deadly poison having been stolen from the laboratory, the Imperial Yumei unit.
The victim perished from the stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case.
But...
Prosecutor Alchi, you will let the defendant speak.
But the newspaper article, the court cannot rely on such a hearsay from wretched publications carrying.
Counsel for the defense. I am going to need some tangled basis of your claim. You will indicate of the course precisely what part of the newspaper article mentions that affirms your assertion.
Your Excellency!
Yes, of course. Thank you. Ray would never have done something to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled a knife from the victim's body is explained in this article, where it says... The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body with a knife laced with poison, it is rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes.
Are you suggesting...
If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Rabambi-san, would have drawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body.
What?
This is complete or utter nonsense.
Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility.
Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document.
Well, that's... That's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defender prevented the poison from taking hold.
Oh please, this is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking to win. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, and I believe the defendant is well aware. We have no proof that the information of this wretched newspaper article is all reliable anyways.
In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, Euclid suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have a strong reason to be suspicious then, and the argument makes no sense.
Exactly. Well, I put up, Inspector. And on what grounds did she do it? Yokai?
Why did Ray suspect the stolen poison was involved? If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds. What?
You can't possibly.
From your expression, Counsel, it would appear that those are not empty words. But naturally, if you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value to our modern justice systems. The court demands evidence.
Yes, Your Excellency. I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times. In my place on the side of the Old Bailey.
In the case, Counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between the case of the poison and the newspaper article?
I will at last to the court refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme menosis, pupil contraction, was observed in the victim. Clearly, being the yokai have no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please do tell me. Presumably, the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it is an unusual symptom of death?
Well...
Under normal circumstances, the pupils indicate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction indeed, that's most certainly unusual, yes.
What are you doing, you yokai detective?
In a newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurred in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death.
What?
If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils on Miss Brett's eyes are contracted severely.
Yes. As a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately without doubt.
Prosecutor Ouchi, I think you'll agree this is very compelling evidence.
You... Yoko student and Yoko professor!
I believe this defense has explicitly demonstrated an incredible reason for the defendant's actions.
No.
Yuji Mikotoba.
Yes, Your Excellency.
I believe you are best placed here to confirm and deny the veracity of the defense counsel argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details report in this newspaper, please.
It pains me to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know.
You don't know?
The toxin was kept with a lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft.
Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of this death are unfounded?
No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say.
Ha! This is a bumbling academic. Unaware of the theft of secret state research of his own workplace until he reads it in a newspaper.
I take full responsibility of the incompetence of my supervision.
Father! A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off to killing sprees.
That's totally unfounded.
None of this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault. Ray.
My Mumpy son, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this should not be tolerated.
But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew. I was placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day of the professor and Suzeki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was.
Why didn't you let me know immediately?
I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin has somehow been taken. So, I decided to try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was a dastardly English woman.
Miss Giselle Brett?
That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. And she just sat in the stool in the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, she suddenly got to her feet, before falling to her knees in front of me and collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her bag. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they shrunk in tiny pinpoints.
I don't believe it. In other words, you realized that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison.
The blood started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips while I had been with her. Which left only one possible way that the poison had entered her body.
On the blade of the knife in her bag. And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade.
Yes. If the amount had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really? I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time.
Your attempt to hide the truth is what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you have confessed to the Trian.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now.
Objection!
Your Excellency, do not be deceived. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Oh, well, Mombi-san, if that's the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed? Well, you have no answer because it's the simple truth. That is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge.
Objection!
But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you? Oh, I have evidence, and it's very much conclusive. What's the prosecution called so off to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You have provided the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Alchi.
Perhaps some praises, dear young Yoko student. What? I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. But you brought this on yourself. What the? Could a damning shot exist? The cruelty of the air of the beach is almost palpable. Its evidence, more than any other, reveals the true intent of the accused's murderer's nature. For it shows the precise moment that Mombi-san plunged a dagger into the victim's back. No, that's not true, no! I don't believe it. Ugh.
Order! 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 Counsel for the defense, it was you who was responsible for the shield screen that was pierced my courtroom?
Perhaps his voice is yet to break. Those yokels are slow to mind, slow in nature. I'll show you who's slow to mature.
Careful now, Susato's starting to show her face here.
It's often
Said that the picture was worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely competent photographic print as evidence.
I dropped my phone.
I can't believe he had a photograph like that on his sleeve the entire time.
It's such a stark image, I'm certainly lost for words.
Wait a minute, I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? Ray.
Objection!
That has no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention. Oh,
Objection!
That is a certain thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photograph or print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony.
I will hopefully defend the man. The prosecutor will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking the photographic at once.
well, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Pardon?
You see, this print I read in my Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. There was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of this print is unknown.
Goodness!
Are we to understand then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the effect that this photographic has in the Mercus of origins, you nevertheless believe it fits submission as evidence in the Supreme Courts? When you first produced that print before, I noticed you hesitated for a brief moment, because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you?
Silence, you yokel student and babbling professor! What matters is the blatant truth of this print so adequately expressed.
But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the womb. Clearly, this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but...
The moment it was withdrawn. Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. And the standard capture is without a doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. If the defendant is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
Oh no!
Susato, this is the time for you to fight. If what you established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment where Ray withdrew the blade from the victim.
Yes, we just need to prove that somehow. You had plenty of time to rule your defeat in the slow train back to the province. And to rule it that you came up against Tatsuyachi in the court of law.
I can't determine who took this photograph. The trial is going to come to the end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, counsel?
Your Excellency, the burning question is who took the photograph, and the truth is... This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this traumatic photograph I print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal.
What? No, you can't possibly. But as you so boldly claim as you can, please, do enlighten us.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to present the name.
How utterly underwhelming. Do you really believe you could?
However, I'm able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity.
What?
Very well then, counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the missing photographer?
Take that!
What is that? The newspaper again? Romnibus English returns tells all.
It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Oh yes indeed, they have already caught my eye as it happens.
What of it? shadow of some kind, presumably from the branches of a tree or the like?
There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you.
Now, if you look closely at this photograph,
Good gracious!
yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present in the photograph too.
Objection!
Well, well, that tells us nothing. Ha! Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely from the branches of a tree.
There wouldn't be any trees growing inside the hut at the beach council.
Meh.
What's quite remarkable about it is the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired?
Curious matching pattern that appears on photographic prints is a result of... Obviously, it must be due to the problem with the camera used to take the photographs.
With the photographic device?
Yes, we can comfortably say that the camera's lens must be scratched. And with the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear in every print taken with that device.
In short, the two photographs under considered relation here were taken with the same camera.
But there must be hundreds of camera devices here at the capital. It will be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
Objection!
I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Alchi, that one of the photographs featured in the newspaper article.
A newspaper? Ah!
That's right. The author of the article is a mystery witness of this art crime.
What? What?
Mini Memo! I see why you're called a random West English returnee.
What are you yelling about? You already testified.
It's Mini Memo! I tell you, Mini Memo! Me Memo!
Soseki-san? What was that? Did you say mini memo?
Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoryu News has been hounding me, following me every move. A reporter by the name of Broughton Mini Memo. Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk.
Ah, now that you mention it.
Secretly spy, snapshot, scribble stories, and usurp my privacy.
Could that same reporter be...
A camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right. There I am, struck in the middle with Broughton Mini Memo. So you're saying that this picture was taken by my Mini Memo? Yes, my lord, your excellency, squire. Officer, find the newspaper article at once and bring it to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
As you say, Your Excellency.
And one more thing. I want this knife, a murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will select the assistant of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood?
Meh. Mini Memo!
Oh boy. Alright. We will definitely keep going as this is the final part of this first case. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray.
You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you're ready to shoulder the burden alone.
No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. I hope to retrieve the substance from the English woman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in my mind about my innocence? That you stand by me up to the last? I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato. I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me into the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. No better, you know. Well, even though in my heart I knew you pulled a knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato! I'm sorry. After I stood here, promised that I stand by you and always be on your side. I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh no.
I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unburdened faith on another is no easy task.
Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray. Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be my gallant and dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The English woman was sitting in the back of the hut listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time? That's right, just Miss Brett and myself. And no one else. Just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that.
A great mystery indeed.
I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on at the sea that day. I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you said you saw is true.
Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time, so we can make sure we have our facts in order.
Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under scrutiny of the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully be identified on the blade at some point. The trouble is, it's a complete new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way to testing for it. Oh, I see.
Yes, but that's his chemical renegade is possible to test the toxin.
Chemical regnant?
I sent a colleague of mine's office up earlier to deliver to the police headquarters. I think perhaps you should take some as well, just in case. What's the matter, Suzato? You sound very quiet.
Is this newspaper article? Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical's research laboratory. I wonder how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all that Englishwoman's doing. What? That was when the professor Sozeki-san was being interviewed by the laboratory. The so-called English lady swarmed in and without any compassion said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would like to hear about your work of the substance here."
It puts me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity has been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him my curiosity information.
So then Sozeki-san knew about the poison.
Yes, it is highly likely. The reporter who was writing out the story about us would have caught a glimpse of that toxin too.
This many memo-san. By the way, did the reporter join you when you all went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there.
Indeed, he should have been. Maybe I must doubt anyone could have wanted him in there.
Oh?
A known criminal has been given permission to the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Soseki-san pointed out that inviting the reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to the office.
Yet he opted didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And presumably he posted anonymously to the police. Ah!
Yes, that must be what happened.
Counsel! We just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. It's time to steal ourselves once again, then.
Defense attorney, Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Yes! Ray has put her faith in me now and told me everything. But I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day.
I hereby call the court in order, where we convene to continue the trial of Ray Rambomni. Prosecutor Elchi, do you have some of the new witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh?
What news? And why does he look so happy about it?
During the recess of the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used in Miss Jideo Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency. Too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I arranged delivered to the police headquarters a rich shaw that it would be there a good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear that we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable.
And, Counsel, what were the results?
This dagger, which was so crucially used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along this blade.
What? Are you sure about that?
I would stick the reputation of the police on it.
On with the reckoning, the test is simply simple. They would have made a mistake.
In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed.
Ugh.
Now, the prosecutor is ready to call his new witness.
Oh, the newspaper reported that who managed to capture the photograph at the crucial point. Rainbow, officer, bring in the witness.
No trace of poison on the knife. If that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body?
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Brought in many memo of the Shoryu News, is what people like to call it a Juro.
What's a Juro, Professor? Do you know?
It's simply a contraction of journalists. I'm there and the news breaks, putting pen to paper and catch those scoops and they print to the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the herald for nothing. A nice guy of news.
Oh, so it was you who took this photograph, was it?
Well, what do we have here?
I'm sorry?
Oh, brace yourselves, people. Many memos sent us a scoop of the offering. Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold and 72 point of the five-legged format in the next morning edition.
Huh?
Right then. Let's start with your name.
Oh, it's Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Next, what made you become a lawyer?
I wanted to reform the country's legal system, I suppose.
Ryutaro suddenly become very ambitious, I see.
I just borrowed customers on the street for a while.
By the way, my name is Tatsuki Aochi. That's Takisuki Aochi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear of every defense lawyer's heart.
No, the readers won't buy that.
What?
Witness?
Yes?
What does this court demands to know is whether or not you are responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously at the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a juror if I didn't click quick with the percentage with the scoop like that, but no, would I? Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you got to be fast. Fast legs to run with and fast hands to write with. It's no good if you don't know it down, I always say.
That's what I called a mini-memoism.
Mini-memoism?
Oh yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself in Soseki-san. Yeah, right. That was me, Manny Memo again.
But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoryu News office after the meeting.
Well, the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words have piqued my journalistic interest.
Miss Brett's words?
A criminal left to do with the she pleases because she is happy to be a British citizen? It's horse dung. The country's judiciary is run to this court. The Supreme Court's ruling aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just impartial pawns.
Stay your tongue out, man. There are complex political issues at play.
Well, anyway, I quickly joined in those words as she said in my many memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Right, here goes.
I should like to go and everyone to see your country's coast.
A serious criminal going under conjunction. The people need to know this. That's why I decided to sneak up to them. To get the woman's stories like a hammer onto the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph? Oh yes, I saw with my very gentle eyes. From start to finish, through the viewfinder on my trusty camera. Thank you, Manny Memo-san. You will not give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed in the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. The beach hut was made of sloppy rolled reed cords, so there's plenty of gaps I could see through. The Englishwoman was sitting in the stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit spurred into flames quick as a flash. I whipped out my camera, ready to click. I pulled apart with a full weave in one of my screens and poked the lens through the perfect shot.
Read screens, you say?
Right! You can see them clearly to the great shot I snapped. The hut walls are just screen made of coarsely woven reeds. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief to the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up.
Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut?
Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish.
And you say you took the photograph into the gap in one of the screens?
Luckily for me, they were pretty solidly woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust my lens of the camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was a gamble of a lifetime.
Intensely on purpose, I consider admirable for the journalist, I suppose.
Run the risk of an A, run the scoop of an X, that's many memoism in a nutshell. At last, it would appear that we have a genuine witness of this crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may have close to the verdict.
No! Wonderfulness, Your Excellency. Wonderful.
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied. But this testimony begs one very large question.
What question?
Exclusive news. For starting photograph. All that making up exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published?
Oh, that's right.
It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that we are yet to understand.
More pathetic excuses.
Very well then, Counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest.
Hold it!
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place?
Ha! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out from the start to finish.
I am here the simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use to explain to the court exactly where you witnessed.
Right you are! It's all here in my memo pad. When I first appeared to the hunt, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on the stool in the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused testimony confirmed that. She just sat in the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down.
It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt.
Ugh.
Then, in the next moment, I was watching the evil student girl enter the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in the flash, plunged the knife in her adversary's back for the two pass each other. What you describe is a grim scene indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth.
That's what many memoism says.
By the way, many Memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap of the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film?
Journals have to be observers. We cannot be involved. That's our ration and error.
So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all?
Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in.
And that's something to be proud of, is it?
Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor?
I think the witness' last explicitly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father? What are you...
I will grant the defense request. Benny Mimble-san, you will supply your formal testimony with your aforementioned statement. Well, Nibelheim is a formation of many memoism. Will gladly prove that my words are meaningless.
Some sort of emblem here, look. But isn't it? But this isn't a Yume University one.
It must belong to some other organization, I suppose. A business of some kind.
Well, that would mean to imply that this pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray.
Objection!
Mini Memo-san, until now I had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth.
You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of Shoyu News on my arm. In a way, that's more many memoism.
Sadly, though, it seems that journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth.
What? What are you suggesting as
Criminal Rewards Council. Mini Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen?
Oh!
This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died.
What are you?
If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel.
The initials of the accused, Ray Bumblebee. Isn't it a coincidence, I wonder? That your initials are also R.M.?
No!
Ralton Mini Memo, R.M.
That's horse dung. Can't you see? It's one of the essential tenets of many memoism as being a pencil user.
And yet, as the court can clearly be able to see on your right hand, there is a very obvious blue ink stain.
It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung!
Mini Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Britt at that beach hunt?
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse.
Exactly! Shoyu News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be so many people with the initials RM as there are nights in the night sky.
The defense has neither the time nor the indication that court every star in the sky.
Hmm?
And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there is another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who the owner really is.
In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies.
Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is... As well as the initials, there is also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize. Mini Memo-san.
Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Shoyu News.
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News, whose initials are RM. Sadly, the stars of the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Mini Memo-san, how do you respond?
No! Order! Order! Explain yourself, witness! So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using corrupted tactics are how well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets?
I've used nothing but honest tactics.
Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded. I, a Shoyu News reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman.
An interview?
You've never mentioned this before.
When exactly was this?
As I said, it was before the evil student girl showed her face at the hunt. It wouldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing.
As many memoists say,
And people don't pay their dues are unworthy news.
however significant you seem to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired.
Got it, yes, alright, but on one condition.
Good condition.
In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone on this.
You need to call back to her earlier witness, Ozeki Natsume-san. Sozeki-san?
Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Embrace yourselves.
Because it's not a harmless one, it's big.
What? What? many memoirs and states that one man's secret is in every other man's front page story.
Very well. I will grant the witness request on this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand.
Ozeki-san? Hiding something?
I asked the Englishwoman for the interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses coming running. The fact, the detective revealed that the victim still had a pulse, so I ran out to fetch help. That's when this runner man here was asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony. This is why many memoirs and debates reveal it now. You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness?
Well,
And when she did, you decided to ask her a question?
that's, true, yes. He did.
And that's not all. The woman gave it a very definitive answer. An answer to incriminate the accused. This is preposterous. Why am I only just hearing this now? Why didn't you mention this, you local hack?
It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, they did post a withering English prose to the question, I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely cautious as even. Counsel for the defense, I expect thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. The court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter is claiming misread implied Bray somehow. What on earth could have happened to the hut?
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say?
Well now, we should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man?
Out with it, you yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to that dying English woman?
Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs on the water's edge and building castles on the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, on the little beach hut, a young girl's panic stricken screams to help pierce the air.
Ray,
I ran out to the beach to see what had happened to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. Zoom Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Spread on the ground. He sprinted up to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan, a moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin!
but what did you ask her, Sozeki-san?
I asked her, who did this to you? Don't burrow our stick any longer. How did the woman respond? She did it! She said nothing in response! But...
When I understand you, answer the questions asked of you unmanuously.
Now, without evasion or recklessness, I demand you answer your testimony. I will!
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant? Sozeki-san, is this really true?
It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with the student girl standing on the far side of her. So when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point the trembling finger on the back of the hut, which was a keeping tonight, in the direction of the student girl. Who stands accused today?
No,
Tozeki-san, why on earth did you neglect this information in your original testimony? But, fiddlesticks, I say! This is not the British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course, the Englishwoman did point your finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everyone was in the blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing at a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction where the spare student girl was standing. Somewhere on the back of the hut where nobody was standing at all.
you mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear?
Yes, that's it, unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection!
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond a reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have any consciousness, but yes, barely, perhaps her finger waves slightly. But there's no doubt that this intended the victim to confirm that Denton was an assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one of the accused in the direction the victim was holding. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have possibly have committed this crime.
I am inclined to agree. In the absence of any credible argument on the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
No! No!
The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyers hope dash. 92 points across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition.
This is a serious blow to Sato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit, sustain our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over.
But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet.
Impossible to the test may seem, we have no choice.
You must think back on everything we learned thus far.
Somehow in those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need.
Ray, give us the account of how the events unfolded in the vanity chamber for the trial resume. Tell us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting on the back of the hut listening to what I was saying. And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back of the beach hut that was empty but herself and Ray? Somewhere amidst all the information we gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question.
I take it that the defense have nothing further to add?
So the gallant Yoko student looks right now. I can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim?
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to propose a justification at the time being.
Oh, to what end, counsel?
The defense will like to present some court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was trying to implicate in her dying gesture.
Objection!
The alternative theory? None exists.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was around her at the time. By mustering all of her remaining strength and pointing the trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction. Fantasy.
Very well. As you can be so sure of yourself, counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Yes, Your Excellency.
You present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly was you proposing the culprit was sealed?
Take that!
Naruhodo-san will never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut?
What?
Order! 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 Student Naruhodo-san, Squire! That makes no sense at all! You're just pointing out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap.
But I didn't see any suspicious individual, lawyer, but I could swear to that.
Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there was no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Actually, Professor Alchi, there is a way.
Oh!
And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing! You're bluffing!
The defense's search is clearly too fanatical for the court to upper hand. You will need to give us some more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence overrated your theory that the victim was stabbed from the outside the hut?
Take that!
The original photograph prepared at the crime scene?
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the peach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's not any such thing.
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again, I must call you to be explicit for the court. Where in this photograph is the trace of the stabbing, where you claim took place from outside the hut?
Take that!
Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of the blade being forced through the reeds.
No, it can't. I can't see such a thing.
It's true that the hut in question has 4 walls, I expect. However, by pawing the reeds, the knife blade would easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary.
Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut.
Oh!
And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut where Miss Brett was killed. Roll 10 Many Memo-san, it could have been you!
No!
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me speechless. Look at that photograph again. The victim lies exactly in the center of the beach hut. Does she not? Are we to assume a part of this practical scenario that incident was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not.
We're not?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death.
Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat in the stool at the back of the hut, staring, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. A stool?
Have another look at the photograph.
A split of the reed screen. But aligning perfectly at the back of the person who is sitting in that stool.
My word! So, in fact, the victim was...
Killed while sitting on that stool? By the stab wound in her back delivered through the reed screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to their feet instantly, and then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Memambi-san appealed, hauling eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on that beach that day. By your silence, Many Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge.
This is absurd!
That will do. It would appear that we have attacked the ambition of guilt for the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Ramambi-san, is innocent of the crime.
Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Archie clan can't. What of my growth? The growth of hope? It wasn't all the partition. Can't accept this, I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude the proceedings by delivering my final verdict as well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court of our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals?
But we established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the reed screen walls.
No one but you was in place at the time as have his hand on the slit of the blade. It's a perfect logical deduction. So, your argument lingers on the location of whatever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now.
Irrelevant.
Where she has stabbed, how she was stabbed, it doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference, if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown that the hangers on something else.
What? What are you talking about?
Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of you dirt you dug up.
What?
Enough absurdity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor the calm in the situation, shall we? I understand that the deadly poison you were developing was solely in your laboratory, correct? It has been shown that the poison is administered when the victim is bred, is that correct? That is correct. The unusual condition of the victim's pupils are sure signs that a particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed? Ah! Given that her pupils are clearly contracted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could have been simulated in her blood.
How refreshing to hear the argument of the malapetition mind. Precisely, it matters not a jot who stabbed from whose back and whose which blade. Because quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken by not a knife but by poison.
Objection!
But that can't be explained by the poison being on the blade, as already.
Objection!
Forgotten already how we yokel? During the brave proceedings, the laboratory of the professor of your side assisted by proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. Ugh.
So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense of this trial, turning out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right?
Ugh. Well. Ah!
Order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body?
There's an undoubtedly obvious answer to that. The lady most likely embezzled it. You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photographic here. As you can see, the bottom of carbonated water and the glass have been knocked over the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have slipped through either. Somebody make Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at these dashing eyes. It'll make a great for a pace shot. Hey, why the bewitching's there? After all, the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense that I poisoned the woman, would I? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is a prime press fodder, this is. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great it is. Let me get a shot of magnificent superior excellency. You claim to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You explained to the court that the testimony, the basis upon which you were such a claim. I'm a juror on the man. I never tried to run or hide for anything in my life. I'm not about to start now because that's minimalism. For a brief moment, I thought I illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. So just where this trial is going to take us? Oh yes, I stopped the Englishwoman, and it's a very fact that I proved my innocence. Because why would I bother to stop the woman if I already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl, the pompous English murder word going, I got my goat. If the court wasn't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else is going to see the justice done. So you admitted then that everything happened as I described? That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back to the read screen? You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and let murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country have like that? That's why I did it. That's why I did what a prophetic leader didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of the charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right there. As someone who spends his life seeking to the truth they're told, I feel really awful for giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got her to before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implying Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to the English woman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap, the jurors are here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. And the witness that admitted to poison himself, yielding not apt to walk it out to take effect. Suspectly stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore the reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical.
That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you all see the light. Justice at last.
This is unbelievable. And after I made so much progress at proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Think of Kazuma-sama Naruhodo-san. I never stopped looking the way forward until the judge just swung a gavel.
Very well then, counsel. Proceed what I'm presuming is your final examination of the trial.
Yes, Your Excellency. What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened at that restaurant 9 months ago. That's what. The student girl was lying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson. A professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right, but the English woman just jeered.
Her case was to be held in the British Colonial Court in Shanghai, however.
There is little doubt that she would imply that she had been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
She was eating that student girl up inside, so I could see it. I really felt for her.
I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Hey, young girl, you're still an accuser here. You can't just blur whatever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of a very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
But this is awful man is making all this stuff. Susata, please, you gotta make them listen.
Return to the Dock of Bonds, my Mombi-san. We're in the middle of a cross-examination.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trusty witness.
Exactly, he's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigot, great peeping Tom.
Whoa, take it easy there.
Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accuser's remarks.
I will grant the request of the defense.
But, Your Excellency...
This is likely to be the cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing this convenience regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh! Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Hold it!
The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean?
I suspected her to be the one to steal it.
I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true.
Additionally, Miss Bread certainly had knowledge of the new poison.
But surely it has no easy test to steal a highly toxic being developed by the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave.
Even if thief managed to avoid being seen by myself and a colleague, being getting the poison would be very difficult.
That's true. I passionately reached Master Mikoto until he agreed to show me the poison when he visited the laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail.
Miss Bread rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we were developing, you see. But since Ozaki-san expressed such interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that there was an extremely potent substance.
I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I had a similar terrible experience with a deadly poison. I wanted to look at my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that.
Finally, my suspicions were true. I confided Miss Bread about the poison. I told her that if there were an incident involving it somehow, it would just be at my university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Bread respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Oh yes, Henny Memo-san. One small question if you don't mind. I do mind. Can you see I'm busy?
Clearly you were outside the beach hall listening in while the defendant Miss Bread was coercing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you heard? Exclusive. Deadly poison so that you made medical research for Cell Laboratory. The story was published in the morning's editions of Soryu News. The details are too accurate for it to be written by anyone else.
Sorry, don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, look at this! The entire article is almost what I said to Miss Bread word for word.
Oh!
Well, Manny Memo-san?
As a juror and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to review my sources. They're a founding principle of the Spanish minimalism.
Paul's clearly right about this. A reporter did write in that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. That's what it's all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with a sinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up!
My story's never sunk. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I wanted to go on record. Very well, you may amend your full testimony.
Objection!
Well, I can think of one reason.
What?
But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information from this newspaper article for what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course you did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told that there was a terrible toxin.
And there is one important fact to consider. According to witness Mombi-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as he entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
What is going on with this council?
Many members and I have made it quite clear that you observe every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant has somehow found the opportunity, this man would have seen it.
Oh! Which means that Miss Brett could have embezzled
The poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it has been administered for her before Mombi-san entered the hut.
Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, many members on her some worrying information.
Worried information? What worried information?
The information when he subsequently included his newspaper article, namely that the poison was being developed with strict scenery, and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, it's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could have come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone affiliated with the poison would exhibit telltale signs of death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes. It's quite stark when you see it. There are no other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison. Which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Ugh! Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique property of the toxin every development. Now they will be foolish enough to attempt to use it in a nefarious deed. Your Mombi-san be no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered these unique poisons to the victim was a lay person unaware of the telltale properties.
Ugh.
In other words, someone like you wrote a mini memo. It was you who sold the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwilling victim, and you quickly realized that it was a terrible mistake. Because the poison has such unusual systems and it was so traceable. As you listen to the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learn of these facts. That you already get the victim the poison at that point, it was too late, so you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. The plan to while stabbing the victim in the back with a reed screen.
Objection!
But what good did that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
What's in the blood? The poison caused an onset of pupil contraction, but he had hoped to pursue the victim's death had happened, had he?
Exactly. Because without any revealing sense of the new secret poison used, no one would have ever been suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison were made too easy to identify, so the killer had to mask one. Which he attempted to do by plunging the knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. So the prosecution has a counter-argument in which they would put forward.
Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
Objection!
Prosecution and base respondently clearly shows. And that in much the same way Nutria's remedy was top notch, he is cleaning the last hope.
Last hope?
You pathetic, useless, fallen samurai!
Fallen? What are you calling fallen? My burly growth is on the rise.
I don't need the counter-argument.
What are you talking about?
It should be blatant obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Give it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean, what the professor said earlier at this trial. It's all here, in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Shoryu News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. Surely it would be no easy task to steal holiday secrets constantly being developed by the government. Indeed. All visitors in my laboratory are certainly searched when they leave. Even if he managed to avoid being seen by his a colleague, taking the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blow the whole story right open? See, I wrote the mini memo, a mere reporter for the Shoryu News. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory.
But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen that poison that day. He stole it, and he used it to kill. If that's the case... As you identify, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here.
What's your point, you annoying handsomely come true buckin?
My point is this. There is one way that you, Many Memo-san, could have stolen that poison that day.
I've heard enough beautiful conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown as evidence. What proof does it have that the witness stole the poison the day of the question?
We take out the pen's lid. Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink.
Yes, you fill it by drawing ink with the bottle up with a nib.
Is something wrong, Father?
She said there isn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all.
Oh, yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be a virtue running out, I suppose.
Take that!
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen.
A fountain pen? How could that possibly be relevant?
The magical pen somehow seems to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country the first time some 15 years ago now.
Ugh. I swear my weasel hair calligraphy fudge and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad.
Well, as the forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Stuck up the succubus of the ink and what works as a wash of words of blinkable eye.
That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, in which the ink is sucked up to the nib of the pen in order to write later.
What is it all talking to sucking up ink have?
Ah! It's just as possible to suck ink up with a reservoir. It's also possible to inject it into the nib again, of course.
My word, can it really be?
Well, Mini Mimo-san?
Um,
When you saw the deadly poison before you arrived at the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very livelihood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By slip-punning the poison up to the nib and into the pen's reservoir.
Objection!
Absurdly. This never happened.
True, we heard that there were procedures in place to prevent things like this in the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside the fountain pen of all places?
no. I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court that this pen was put in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Mini Mimo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly did this pen drop?
Are you suggesting...
The natural conclusion is that it is in your haste to act with this, the victim was distracted for a moment. You dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from her into a glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim.
And when shocked by one of his outrageous answers, the pen fell into the quivering hand.
Objection!
No, it can't be. If it was, I'd explain why the pen was devoid of ink.
What?
As you can see for yourself when you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes and interviews someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled the reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Witness, what do you have to say for your defense? So this is our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps?
I can always claw my way back in the game. I have plenty to reserve. You claim I stuck with the poison under my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought I could bring down a fine upstairs and a trick like that, think again.
It looks as though you're going to make one final decisive blow to finish the matter. As as I can see, the situation is not very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day of the question. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. No such evidence could possibly exist.
Mini Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works.
What?
In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we're all well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you.
Very well then. I call upon the defense to present his aforementioned evidence.
This is it then. This will be the final piece of the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that used to steal the poison.
Take that!
Counsel, what is this bottle?
This bottle contains a unique chemical which can only identify the poison in question. Ah!
Yes, that poison is entirely new synthesis of Acula developed by my colleagues and I. It would be possible to detect traces of it by any other method.
Or another perspective. Simply with this chemical reagent, anyone could all check for traces of poison.
Regnant? What?
One drop of the contents of this bottle in the tip of your fountain pen, Mini Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt.
No, you can't. I won't.
Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test of the fountain pen at once.
This is my fault. The Emperor provoked me to this, trying to hold his hand on the civil nation, but balances any foreign power. I took up the arms and I pen at 2 times the power. If he knows only just wretched this man was in the bed. Many.
Susato, with me! I'm there!
Yeah!
Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. He instant the first drop of the regnant touched the nib of the fountain pen. It was clear to everyone present.
When I saw it there at the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me, and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and then emptied all the ink down to the sink of the bathroom, washing the reservoir out completely.
And when you waited for the opportunity to suck out some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen?
Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Mini Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it's made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up.
And then why did the English woman end up dead?
I went to the hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all. As a reporter, I know him killer, been going for a pleader, invading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just slapped in my face.
Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman proposing to practice journalism. Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant villain.
What did you just call me?
This country, with all pretension to the justice system, to the free press, it's really very depressing. You see our supervisors way in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out, and crawl back to the ken you came from.
That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale.
In my head, I knew I'd just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I could let her get away with what she had done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journal spirit, getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yes? You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist you could use other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean?
I would remind you, you're a position witness. Be careful what you say.
Oh, come on! Doesn't it strike you as strange?
We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Consider collective jurisdiction when should never have come to it.
And that puffy Englishwoman was going to sail away in the sunset a free woman? The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan.
What sort of deal?
I've done my research, took up all the dirt, it was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up.
You came under pressure of the government, you mean?
The government is going to let criminals walk free if they're going to crush the free press. Then what choice do I have to see the justice system myself?
Let's not forget, Memo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame on the defendant's door.
I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett.
What?
The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all.
I
suppose.
It would appear that they reached a conclusion of the trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Oh! Yes? Sorry, Your Excellency? Just musing on the manly way there.
It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience at the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Oh, Naruhodo, so, Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one, it gives me hope that we are generally entering a new era of justice on this land.
It's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Here the defense you put forward today make me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Ouchi, do you have any final thoughts?
Prosecutor Hochi?
Takasuki of the Ochi clan have been bested by a Califu not once, no, but twice. If there is any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey as cultural enlightenment sure took a while, doesn't it?
It's silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is a true path of Achiism.
Achiism?
One hopes of the way in which he is modeling himself as the witness.
Sprigo by Taknak, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Takasuki.
Now, in regards to the defendant, Ray Bumbamy-san,
Yes, Your Excellency?
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you
Not guilty.
Court is adjourned.
It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do is stay standing. Lawyers are such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Zato! Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm gonna cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears in the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that congratulations belongs to you. Susato, don't be so stand foolish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over. No more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger to throw caution to the wind.
Caution to the... what?
I'm the great defense lawyer Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'll take you out of Moot Margin tomorrow. Or something.
Right, I see. I'll think about it, Ray.
At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of the horde. Man, that felt good. Yes, that is so satisfying. It really was. There really anyone else we could have thrown together.
I hope you're not looking at me, Ray.
Oh my goodness, no, of course not. Of course not. Ah, there it is at last. Ray's lovely smile.
You fought your friend at the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense Attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but back to Suzaku Migotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame.
What? What is happening?
Ah, Suzaki-san and Inspector Hosonaga at Zuho you've been keeping well.
Is that really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it was me, Suzaku Migotoba.
I don't. So dashing, so divine. No. No, lovely dashing. Yes, and capitally divine. Just look at you. I had no idea Miss Usato-san Equests were locum stood as Naruhodo-san's squire's cousin. Astonishing is attorney.
Poor Suzaki-san, so confused. still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was an unwilling student from Japan found itself in Royal. But after Naruto's unskilled defense in the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author.
I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I have no idea, and I'm a chief inspector of the police bureau who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you'd be admitted to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see.
Just two, really. And this is the once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not a patchy on you, though, Inspector.
Well, I am a professional, of course.
I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes, I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover disguised as a head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship of Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Well, that didn't help you, didn't it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit I have mixed feelings about all this.
I mean, now the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? Oh yes, it was an English doctor she killed, I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill them? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer.
On the voyage to Great Britain, we have the most unexpected encounter with Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean.
Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Oh, my arch nemesis, how lightly you utter his name.
Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor in medicine, by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I can't believe that it was a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed her in Japan 9 months ago. Must be the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again.
As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On returning to Japan, I took up a professorship at the Imperial Yume University, but I also served another role as an advisor of the government in diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters that I can't divulge you in.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you suddenly move back to Japan? It's been 2 months since I returned. When I left England, it was because of the urgent telegram that arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news came from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way or harm me? It's really the only explanation I can think of.
Dear me, do you ever suffer your most gladly cases of your father, Shizato? I'm sorry, my dear. I simply can't. Let me go!
Many memos on? So, one throw wasn't enough for you?
I got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand on what went on. And the visiting student's faith.
Visiting student? Giselle? Brett? Me?
No, not her. The student of law who left a great beard 8 months ago.
What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What has this everything to do with Kazuma-sama?
Nobody here in Japan knows about it. They don't know if the guy never made it to England, that he died on a steamship. And then he'll never... No! Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were the officers playing at?
Terribly sorry, Your Excellency.
I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugene, and that's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency.
The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seshiro Chikoku. And may I say that since you saw you last, you seem to have taken a more dashing appearance. Susato.
Did you know all along from the start of the trial?
A judge sees everything, Susato. I could have let you take the risk if Seshiro here hadn't known that he recognized you. That I was here beforehand as an old friend. So, Seshiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled in that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father.
Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return our early conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably.
Oh, thank you very much.
What do you think of my Seshiro's sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent them out lying like that.
I never could Father be hiding from me. I'll just yell bread and talk to Wilson. And now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm gonna have to bring this up to Father sometime. When nobody else is around.
Traditional Citizen Mikotoba's son, Esquire Nest, could I have a word?
Oh, yes, of course, Usaki-san. What is it?
I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again in Dectus now. You see, there's something I need to tell you.
Oh?
I believe that it may be relevant to the reason why your father summoned you back from England.
This I have to hear.
Please, Soseki.
Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once.
I will. As you know, my time in England was terrible, cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I am involved in. Thank goodness no come stood as not a court, but a son Squire stepped in. After I secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on the ship back here on my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report.
My father?
He seemed to be especially taken with the particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent a telegram to you asking you to return to Japan.
What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in?
I don't really know exactly. But I do remember. But do you remember the two terrible cases I was caught up in?
Of course, I can never forget.
Your father seems to concern yourself mainly with the second case.
The second one? I mean, the one Mr. Shuddesford, Blade, and you let us talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you have any member of the public is aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what the dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case is somehow the key to all these curious unanswered questions. A horrible, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted
That case somehow caused my father to send me urgently back to Japan? I thought the whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps this is only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
And with that, the Adventures of the Blossoming Attorney is done. Susato success. And with that, that's gonna be the end of the stream. The next time we're gonna tackle episode 2, The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. And that will be ending the stream now. And there will be no raid target tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.